We have never seen this before as the Winnipeg Jets officially make NHL history, beating the Dallas Stars by a score of 4-1 in a crazy game that saw the fourth line step up. It saw Connor Hellebuck set a franchise record, and it also saw the Jets improve to 14-1. So we're going to break it all down on this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jets and NHL content, and we're going to have you up to date with all the latest Jets news. Darius, I am can't say I'm super surprised, but what an absolute amazing game up until the last few minutes. A lot of fans are fired up about the Logan Stanley penalty, which we'll definitely get into later, so stay tuned for that. But there's a lot to go over today, and it's most importantly surrounding this Winnipeg Jets team. They beat one of the better teams in the NHL in the Dallas Stars, and not only did they beat them, the game was never even close. The Jets are now 14-1, which is an NHL record for the best 15-game start in league history. Spectacular beginning. We saw the sold-out crowd in Winnipeg today, and it's a wild one. There's a ton of stuff to get into. Shout out to all the Jets fans out there finally getting the sellout crowd, especially over the past couple of years with all the questions about how many fans, the sustainability of the team in Winnipeg, and all these things. Boy, 14-1, crushing the Dallas Stars, which are one of the best teams in the NHL, and Connor Hellebuck is at the forefront of it all once again.
Can't say I'm surprised that the Winnipeg Jets won this game. They've been rolling, and they've done something that no other team has ever done in NHL history at this point. And we'll get to Connor Hellebuck in a second, later on in the video. But again, like you mentioned, there was a lot of questions the last couple of years about the Winnipeg Jets and, not selling out as much and fan loyalty and all these questions that were popping up over the last couple of years. And I think that's all gone away this year. This team's playing really well. The fans are certainly into it, and everybody feels really good about the Winnipeg Jets. So that's been pretty impressive. And again, 13-1-0 on the season to start the season. Everyone's clicking. If it's, if one line's not going, somebody else picks them up, right? So it's been really fascinating to see so far this season for the Winnipeg Jets. And Dallas, to me, was a measuring stick game. We talked about it on the channel a couple times in a couple videos about the upcoming schedule. And to me, Dallas was a measuring stick game. Like, how would you match up against one of the better teams in the NHL, in the Dallas Stars? And it wasn't even close. Like you said, it was not even close the entire game. Everybody came to play today. The Jets are rolling. And you know what? Looking at the rest of their upcoming schedule, I'm not sure who's going to beat them. If it wasn't Dallas, I'm not sure there is a team coming up here that can beat the Jets.
Yeah, and it's a very impressive game. When you look at the box score and you see who ended up scoring in this game, there's a lot of different players that we can kind of talk about. We know that Rasmus Kupari got his second goal of the season, and we saw a bunch of different guys. Nikolai Ehlers, fresh off of obviously our video earlier today about the contract extension. He had a phenomenal game as well. We saw Nemestikov get on the board, and ultimately, when you're looking at this game and how things shake up going forward, there's not many players in this team who played bad today. There are a couple, and we'll dive into them, especially as we get into the Connor Hellebuck stuff, which is very interesting. But again, that fourth line with Kupari and Iafallo as well, who got on the board two goals early in the first period there. It's at the point now where when you have the fourth line stepping up alongside Nikolai Ehlers, alongside all of these guys, Neil Pionk with a great game as well. Gabe Vilardi stays hot. I mean, I don't know who, like you mentioned, I don't know who's going to stop this team. This fourth line is coming together. The third line's coming together. All the lines are coming together. The defense continues to look great aside from one particular player there. But did anyone else stand out to you before we dive into the a bit of the elephant in the room surrounding the goaltending in a minute? But will anyone else stand out to you?
Not anyone specifically, but I want to highlight one thing before I let you, run away with Connor Hellebuck and Logan Stanley specifically. But I wanted to highlight, not, like I said, any one player specifically, but what they're doing with their special teams right now. The power play is operating at almost 50% on the season, which is insane, right? I don't know who's going to be able to stop this, because with them scoring at a clip like this on the power play and Connor Hellebuck playing how he is, I'm not sure how you're going to beat the Jets. And it's not just the goaltending and the power play. It's the penalty kill too. The penalty kill is really good at operating at around 80% for the season as well. So everything is clicking for this team right now. There's not one thing like we've been talking about on the channel, right? If something falters in a game, the ability to bounce back in the next game, whatever it was, if it was the third line or the fourth line, they'll bounce back the next game. But that game that they weren't playing well, the first line picks them up. They get 3 points, 4 points, right? So they're clicking right now. The Winnipeg Jets are. They are an incredible team to watch right now.
Yeah, PK is phenomenal. The power play is phenomenal. You're going up against a solid goalie in Jake Ottinger. You run him out of the game, and you just completely blow the lid open on not only the game, but really just sending a message to everybody. And the message has already been sent. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets have now officially had the best start in NHL history with 14-1. And again, we think back to that Leafs game a couple weeks ago. That would have been the big. They almost came back in that game. So it's not like they got blown out in the one loss they had. It was, of course, a very close game, and it was interesting. But let's get into the elephant in the room. So heading into this game, a big storyline was, of course, winning the game. But Connor Hellebuck's his streak for shutout streak, not letting up a goal through the
Yep.
first, coming into the game, it was 130 odd minutes, whatever it was. But Dallas scored with a minute 22 left, which is a bit of a knife in the side of a lot of Jets fans, and took the win out of the sails a little bit. At the end of the day, they still got the win, but he did nonetheless set a new Jets record for Winnipeg's longest shutout streak. And if you remember, if you've been a Jets fan for a while, Andre Pavlik had it back in 2014-2015 season. Hellebuck surpassed that by 4 minutes, so they got the streak. But Logan Stanley, and a lot of fans are just saying bench Logan Stanley, release Logan Stanley. He took a pretty bad penalty, ultimately led to the goal here. But I'm going to take the positive side of it. Connor Hellebuck is on another level, and it would have been nice for him to escape this game and then go into the next game to help build on that streak. But I can almost assure you for a fact that Connor Hellebuck is not really worried too much about a shutout streak. He's more so worried about winning this team games and it being sustainable in the playoffs. But he's the hottest goalie in the NHL right now, and he is arguably the best goalie in the NHL, of course, alongside a couple of other guys, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, coaches of that caliber, or goalies, sorry, of that caliber. But Darius, a pretty rough outing there from Logan Stanley. He had a horrible night. He hasn't been great this season at all. He had that one game where I think it was against the Leafs, actually, where he played okay. But other than that, I mean, he hasn't played okay at all. And it was a pretty rough game today, especially to get the penalty, which, was not needed. You were up 4-0. But that being said, phenomenal game from Hellebuck. He's showing a ton of, just, I don't even know. I was going to say a ton of promise. He's been the best goalie in the NHL for a very long time, but a ton of promise for the rest of this season if he can keep this up.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And I remember that shutout streak by Andre Pavlik being a big deal at the time back then, about 10, 11 seasons ago. And Hellebuck with this winning streak, I feel like it's, that storyline's taken a backseat in a way where it's like the team's playing so good that you're focused on the team right now and their record. And it's like Hellebuck just set a Winnipeg Jets record, right? Just casually did that. So he's been really good. Maybe only one game this year you could really say Hellebuck wasn't on top of his game, but that's going to happen around the NHL and for goaltenders, right? You're not going to be on your game every single game. So he's been great so far this season again. And the Jets are rolling. I want to put this question to you, Nick, and I guess the viewers. It's going to be very interesting. The Jets play the Toronto Maple Leafs again in December, coming up here in just about a month and a half. Are the Winnipeg Jets undefeated until they play the Toronto Maple Leafs again? Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to that point where I don't see, again, they'll probably lose a game over the next week or two just out of, that's the way hockey works. But the fact that they've continued to win and bounce back after that Maple Leafs loss, I remember making a video after on the post game for the Maple Leafs versus the Jets game here on this channel. I said, as long as the Jets bounce back, which we all know they can, they'll be perfectly fine. And now, like, record aside, making an NHL record aside, like, they're just separating themselves among the best, especially in the standings, to go ahead and win a lot of awards this season. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on all of this. I'm sure a lot of Jets fans out there are super excited, and I don't blame you. 14-1 is absolutely absurd, and hopefully they can keep it rolling in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.